Roy Jones says you already knew. Jon Jones wants to make nice with Dana White. Pat Lynch makes it clear that the investigation on Arturo Gatti Jr. is not over. Welcome to Shy's Takes.
Gervonta was supposed to face Jake Paul. It didn't work out. Just what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
Man, I really don't want to even have much to say about that because everybody take it the bad way. But all I'm going to say is this. Jake Paul knew what it was when he first signed the fight.
I agree.
This ain't the first time he had battled against a woman.
I agree.
You knew what it was when you first signed the fight. So don't get mad and cuss him out and talk bad about him now. You knew what it was when you signed up for it.
Yeah, I feel like you working your way out of there for one reason or another. It ain't public relations. Those questions were asked of him by reporters at the press conference. So you can't play ignorant now and act like you didn't know what was being said and what was happening. Miss me with the bullshit.
Come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's not do that. Nobody talk. I don't talk bad about him either, but don't do the dude like that. No, the dude having a hard time in his life right now. Don't just do him like that. You know what I mean? Because you knew exactly what he was when you signed him to fight the first time. All I gotta say.
Tank's team has kind of been bringing that, like, talking about just some of Jake's past, and more kind of said that Jake said he's actually afraid to fight Tank. I mean, do you think it leaned a little more on that side, and they're just selling it the other way?
I already know what it is. Like I said, I already know. I'll get into it, but we all know when young guys go through issues. That's just life. But, I'm sure Jake went through his issues early, too. It happens.
Right.
But you knew what you signed up for when you first signed the fight.
Yeah, he knew what he signed up for. This feels like the same alleged thing that BKFC did to Frankie Edgar. Use that name for publicity, then you ain't got the money to back it, so you let him off the hook and you let him out the fight. Kill his payday and you use him. I feel like that's what they did to Gervonta here. Allegedly. I imagine so. It's my opinion. Maybe. Because those Paul boys, they like to sue people and shit. It just feels to me like this is you getting out of it somehow. Not somehow, that's how you got out of it. Recently, we talked about how it's hard to be a Jon Jones fan, all right? Just a little background real quick. Jon Jones is widely known as the greatest mixed martial artist, greatest fighter of all time. He's had some controversies throughout his career. Controversies with substance abuse, controversy with PED allegations and failed tests. And these, in the eyes of some, put asterisks on his achievements. He moved on from the light heavyweight division, moved up to the heavyweight division, became the heavyweight champion of the world. And there was an up-and-coming interim champion named Tom Aspinall. That campaigned to fight Jon Jones. Jon wouldn't fight him. Jon's mentality was, who is this guy? I'd rather fight somebody with a name at this point in my career. Whatever. You take that for what you think it's worth. Negotiations happened, and finally, it was supposedly verbally agreed to that Jon Jones would fight Tom Aspinall. Then the word came down that he reneged on the deal and said he wouldn't fight him and retired. He retired rather than fight Tom Aspinall. The next day, the White House card, the idea that the White House card was real, was announced. The day after that, Jon Jones came out of retirement and started campaigning for the White House card.
There's a big card you keep talking about that you want to be on, a White House card, right?
Yeah, dude.
Who do you want for that? You want Pereira?
I'd like to fight Alex Pereira at the White House. Yeah. I feel like he's incredibly respectful. Mm-hmm. I feel like he's a household name in America, in MMA. Everybody knows who he is. He's a champion. He's in the conversation of being one of the greatest fighters of all time. And I just think it would be a blockbuster event. I think the whole world would come out. I've beat many Brazilians over the course of my life. Many. It's the people that I've beat the most. And I feel like either way that fight were to go, no one loses in that fight. It generates so many millions for the sport.
Mind you, this is very closely after the eye poke that ended the Tom Aspinall-Cyril Gane fight, double eye poke. So Jon is not mentioning Tom Aspinall in that sense. He's strictly on the Alex Pereira train, which is what he was on before anyway. He just has confirmation now, knowing that the Tom Aspinall-Cyril Gane fight ended the way that it did.
When you talk about the White House and having the greatest American fighter of all time, I mean, how can you have a White House card without literally the GOAT?
The GOAT.
So it's like, this is something that can be such a big events, especially with you headlining it, and whether it's Pereira or if obviously we saw what happened with the Aspinall fight most recently, and a lot of kids, I would say, towards my age, are new to the sport. They never seen the Jon Jones of 10 years ago, the Jon Jones that was out there just dominating people.
Because it's hard to get Jon Jones in the cage to fight, which is why Dana's using the excuse of, I need somebody that I could depend on to be in this White House fight. It's hard to be a Jon Jones fan. I was behind him more than anybody for him to win the title, even though there was things about his character that I felt like weren't genuine and weren't authentic. The truth came out in the long run, but I just felt it was disingenuous, some stuff. Same way I feel about this whole White House card situation.
People talking shit online and of like, oh, he's ducking this guy or he's dodging this guy. They haven't seen the work that you've done in the past and how dominant you've been. Yeah. We know you're not ducking this guy. I mean, talk to me about what you saw in his fight with Gane. I mean, because Gane looked like he was controlling the fight.
When Cyril Gane?
Yeah.
I feel as Tom's a great athlete, but I do feel like he's a one-trick pony. I believe that his wrestling and jiu-jitsu is incredibly overrated. He has a beautiful 1-2. I got to learn a lot about his patterns in his last fight. Beautiful 1-2. That's really about it. That's the one thing that he's setting up real nice. He couldn't touch Cyril Gane at all. That's the way I felt. I felt like Gane was just getting warmed up. Gane's hands was down. He was shaking his shoulders, bouncing around.
He was touching him. He was touching him.
That jab too was money.
He busted him open.
He was so comfortable.
I think Tom was looking for a way out, and he took it. He needs to change his game plan.
Man, Tom, when Tom gets hurt, it's like he's like immediately incapacitated. Immediately.
He shut down.
It's like you poke my eye, and then he's like immediately. There's no like.
He never tried to look. It was rag on the eye immediately.
I will say that's what I was waiting for during that fight. I kept saying, pull the rag away from your eye and try. Maybe, of course, he knows something we don't know. He's feeling it. He knows if his eye is moving or it's not moving or whatever. But that was my thought. I didn't see none of that. He feels like Tom looks for the door. Tom doesn't have that dog in him, that grit in him to suffer through the hardships in a fight and keep going.
Dude, I would have been the silliest looking cat on national TV just
trying. He didn't try. He didn't try.
Same thing with Curtis Blaze. When he hurt his knee, there was no limping. There was no trying to get up. It was just like immediately.
Yep.
Oh, burn my village. I can't go on. Like,
he doesn't have the dog in him. Yeah, that kill or be killed.
Immediately quits.
Yeah.
When he got tapped out with an ankle lock, there was no trying to fight his hands. There were no trying to. He immediately.
Does the perfect story end with the White House fight and riding off into the sunset?
I hope so. I think my most immediate goal is to try to be on the White House card.
Okay.
And
you talking to Dana? How is he feeling?
I'm giving Dana his space. Dana has changed my life.
Yes, he
has changed my life. He's changed my.
You giving Dana his space, or is Dana giving you space? Because he feels like you did him dirty. He probably feels the way he felt when Tito used to pull those moves. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm no Dana apologist. But when Tito used to pull those moves, right before the pay-per-view, hey, you don't pay me, I'm not going to do this fight. That's kind of what it seems like. Like you gave him an answer and then you passed.
I'm giving Dana his space. Dana has changed my life.
Yes, he
has changed my life. He's changed my children's lives.
Yeah.
And I'm forever grateful to him. Okay. And we had a verbal agreement that didn't go over well. Nothing was final.
Didn't go over well. You didn't honor it. You retired. There's no accountability in that right there. If there was a verbal deal and you changed your mind, then there was no deal. You did it dirty.
But I do admit guilt. Not guilt, but I was wrong.
You'll make it right at the White House.
But the way things went down, I was wrong. And I wish that I
wrong. There you go. Be accountable for that shit. You was wrong. Did you give a shit that you was wrong before the White House card was announced?
See him face to face and just apologize to him, and so that we can let bygones be bygones and get
bygones. Let's let bygones be bygones. I know I screwed you, and then 24 hours later I changed my mind because you threw a golden egg out there. Come on, man. It's just disingenuous to me. Now that you want something, it's right for the sport, and it's this and that, and come on, man.
See him face to face and just apologize to him, and so that we can let bygones be bygones and get back to making some major money for the sport, and really entertaining these fans.
I think it's disingenuous. I think you were happy reneging on the deal until the White House card came up. There was no reason to apologize until the White House card came up. That's just Jon Jones being Jon Jones. Lately, we've been talking about a young man lost too young, Arturo Gatti Jr., son of the legend Arturo Gatti Sr. Those of us that knew the story of his father and how similar the circumstances of his son's early demise had some of us wondering, questioning, if anybody would question it. Short time passed, and we heard that Sofia Gotti, Arturo Gatti Sr.'s daughter, had a GoFundMe so that she can fund a private investigation. A private investigation into what happened to her brother. And now we get an update from longtime manager of Arturo Gatti Sr., Pat Lynch, about this investigation. It's a short segment on his podcast. I'll leave the link for the podcast in the description. You can find it on Spotify. Pat Lynch Boxing, basically breaking down what he knows about the situation. Let's get it.
We're back today and not here to talk about Arturo's career today. We'll do that later this week and pick up on that. We're here to talk about the tragic incident that took place on October the 6th when Arturo Gatti Jr. was found killed in Mexico, in Cancun, Mexico. And it's eerie that they're saying it's the same exact circumstances. He was found hung, believe it or not, with shoelaces now, is what they're saying. His mother found him hanging and she cut him down and so on and so forth. But
if anybody knows or should know about Arturo Gatti 16 years ago, he was found dead in Brazil, and now his son, 16 years later, was found dead in Mexico. A little too similar, and I think eerie is a perfect way to put it, because it feels like we're reliving this again, and history is repeating itself.
Yeah, exactly. Back in July of 2009, I had hired the private investigators, Paul Cialino and Joe Mora, to go down to Brazil and try to uncover whatever they could. Hired Dr. Michael Bodden. I sent him up to Canada to do a second autopsy. Hired a big law firm in Brazil to try to get to the bottom of it. And obviously, we never got the justice that we wanted. But I stood firm in all of these years, still believing that Arturo had been murdered. And no one will ever change my mind.
Pat put his money where his mouth is. He didn't just talk about it. He put his bread there. He tried his best. He fought Brazilian authorities for this. And they lost.
But I stood firm in all of these years, still believing that Arturo had been murdered. And no one will ever change my mind. It's just sad that back in 2009, when my investigation was going, we had a few people who, for their 15 minutes of fame, wanted to get on TV or for whatever jealous reasons, they wanted to say, oh, no, he came by me and he asked me for a gun. No, I believe he committed suicide. When knowing probably deep in their heart that wasn't the case, but they just had to do that.
Now, he says in the middle of his investigation, there was people that wanted their 15 minutes of fame. What he's speaking of is a documentary, a 48 hours documentary that I've been looking for, that I am not able to find. I did find the audio, so we will be reacting to that audio on this channel in the very near future. But what he's speaking of there, the people that supposedly opened their mouth for 15 minutes of fame, would be Mario Costa, who is known in the boxing circles, has a bar. It's a historical fight bar, put it that way. If you watch the movie Assault in the Ring, about Louis Resto and Irish Billy Collins, it's the bar owner of the bar where Panama Lewis goes to watch the fight because he's banned from boxing. And he's also talking about Arturo Gatti's own brother, Joe Gatti, who in that documentary said that they believed it, that they believed the official, quote-unquote, official story. Pat has his reasons to believe and feel however he feels about why they said the things that they said. But just to give you that clarification, that's who he's talking about, and we will be reacting to that documentary.
Back in 2009, when my investigation was going, we had a few people who, for their 15 minutes of fame, wanted to get on TV or for whatever jealous reasons, they wanted to say, oh, no, he came by me and he asked me for a gun. No, I believe he committed suicide. When knowing probably deep in their heart that wasn't the case, but they just had to do that. And if you think about it, if they didn't derail the investigation I had going on, maybe Junior would be alive today. I don't know. Maybe we would have got justice back then. But you know what? That's water under the bridge. There's nothing we can do. Now it's time to find out what happened to Arturo Gatti Jr.
It's very sad because we didn't really know him. I never met him.
No, his mother kept him away from all of us, including Arturo's immediate family. His poor mother, Ida, really never got a chance to know her own grandchild because Amanda kept him away from everybody. He was supposedly down in Mexico training. He wanted to turn pro next year. He was 17 years old, was going to turn pro at 18, had a promising career in front of him, And it's just really sad and really tragic. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going around about what happened and stories, but I will tell you this. I have firsthand knowledge pretty much that the investigation is moving forward. They want to recreate the whole crime scene, and that her statements have a lot of inconsistencies in them, and that's gospel truth right from the police. So
there he is. That's gospel truth right from the police, that there's inconsistencies in her story. In Brazil, the inconsistencies were ignored, wiped away, washed away. In Mexico, it seems that they're not playing that shit. From my understanding, Mexico has been nothing but cooperative. This has legs.
Hopefully we will get justice this time, if indeed it was a murder, which I believe it might be, could be, probably is. And if that's the case, it took all these years to get justice. I'm praying that that's going to be the case, because we've been waiting a long, long time. Good friends like Mike Sciarra, Chuck Zito, we never wavered once. You know, a lot of us, Mikey Red, we all believe that Arturo was murdered, like most of the boxing world and most of people who read about everything.
You can't convince me otherwise.
I know. And the interesting thing is, I spoke to Arturo's sister Anna yesterday, who is actually flying to Cancun this morning to see if they can claim the body and bring him back for a proper burial in Canada, because he still hasn't been buried, because it's an open investigation, either being suicide or murder.
And from my understanding, she went and she claimed the body. Made sure that nothing happened without the family knowing. Just to make sure that if an investigation is happening, proper protocols taking place. So salutes to Anna.
But the interesting thing is, in the report, from what I see, was that it's ruled a strangulation. The hybrid bone was fractured in his neck. Same exact thing to Arturo. Hybrid bone was fractured in his neck. So Junior, in the report, it says strangulation, and there were members of Amanda's family who insisted on changing it to suicide, because they said it was a suicide, and the forensic medical office refuses to do that. They're ruling it as a strangulation, and that's why this investigation is going on.
See, even the medical examiner is like, nope, I'm not moving that. We don't go further than that. You want to call it something other than that? We're going no further than that. That's it.
To my knowledge, that they have taken her passport. She can't leave the country right now until this is complete. So with that, I just figured we'd get on here and let people know what was going on there. I'm sure there was a lot of questions.
We've gotten a lot. I mean, I can say for the both of us that our phones have not stopped ringing from constant people asking us questions. I think from knowing our relationship with Arturo especially, and how everything went down the first time, we got firsthand knowledge on everything, especially you. So for our phones to be, ringing off the hook now, everybody kind of wants to know what's going on. So we figured that we get on here and kind of say what information we have as of right now.
Right. And that's what we really can say at this point, until, I'm praying and hoping that this week is on, we'll get more concrete information on what's going on.
Whether you knew Arturo or not, but if you can look at the situation where a father and a son were found dead almost exactly the same way, anyone could say that it doesn't make sense.
In two foreign countries.
No one can say that it makes sense.
Just, like in Brazil, if you remember, she was arrested for murder, but they changed it 3 weeks later and called it a suicide. So let's hope and pray that we can get to the bottom of this one and find out the truth once and for all, what happened to Arturo Sr. and his poor son, Arturo Jr.
No, hopefully, I think Arturo is happy to have his son in heaven with him.
Yeah. Prayers to the family.
So there it is. As far as Pat Lynch is concerned, the investigation is happening. Direct word from police that things don't look right, and the fight to find out what happened to both these men continues. Salutes and much respect to Pat Lynch, to the Gotti family, to all of the friends, to everybody that will not let this rest, for going out there and for fighting for information. We'll keep an eye on this. Rest in peace, Arturo Gatti Sr. Rest in peace, Arturo Gatti Jr.